back to another episode of the Steel Target Paid podcast. We've got a real special guest for you today. And you know what? Normally, Steve and I ask each other if we've been shooting. But I know the answer to Steve's, or I know Steve's answer, because I know he's been shooting. And he's been shooting at a great match out in California, the Area 2 match. And we've got Kurt Grimes, the match director. So welcome, guys. How are you all doing?
Good. Great. Everything's good.
Kurt, I saw nothing but positive pictures and comments and congratulations on having a fantastic match. That is always good to hear.
Oh, for sure. It's kind of overwhelming to hear what people had to say about the match in general. We've got a really good staff out there. I got a couple of guys that bust their ass whenever we ask them to do anything. A lot of things they do, we don't even ask, and they just do it. But it's Jeff Minyard and Chris Franklin.
Oh, yeah. Great guys.
Yeah. You met them, Steve. You got to see what they do out there. So, but those guys prep. They set the steel, they measure the steel, they cut they do everything. They're also out there for our local matches. So our local matches are pretty much on par with the Area 2 match. But aside from that, my driving force is Maria. So she kept me in line. She kept pushing.
Isn't that like a daily task for her? I mean,
it's an hourly task for her. You need to get this done. You need to get this. I got time. You need to get this done. And so it was pretty cool to work with her on this. She's just started shooting, and she's doing pretty well. So
she took home some hardware, right?
Yeah, she got wood. Like third place RFPO.
A class,
wasn't it?
An A class. Yeah, so
that's awesome.
First big match, and she won something. So I was very proud of that. So, she worked hard. She worked, I want to say, probably harder than I did. I did the heavy lifting, and she did a lot of the administrative stuff. She did all the, making the schedules out. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that people don't think about. And she handled
I've been there, Kurt. I know exactly what you've been through.
Yeah. No, you just had a match. I know. Yeah. I ordered sunshine for mine. You ordered rain. So.
Yeah, but you know what? They lost my order this year. Last year the order came through, but this year they lost that rain order.
Yeah. So.
Of course, it was also like I think 85 at our range, and I saw it was like 55 at your range, right?
Well, in the mornings. And it warmed up to 70-ish.
Okay.
But one of the things that really was amazing to me was the coverage of the country that we got from shooters. We had people from North Carolina, Georgia, which is Foster, Florida, Alabama, Texas, Colorado, Idaho, Washington, Alaska, and all over California. So, I mean, when you can get a draw from that many states, that says something about either the venue or the match itself. So,
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I looked up on Practice Score when the match was all over, and based on what that showed, I think it was 279 guns in the match.
Yes.
And that's phenomenal. Again, kudos. I mean, for our little range, I was ecstatic to hit 240, and 279 is great, and it's a testament. Again, last year I think was the first year you ran it, wasn't it?
Yes, that was the first year of that match.
So first year of that match, and I know you knocked that one out of the park, and shooters appreciate that, and. It's all the little things, the snack tables. How many Tootsie Rolls or Tootsie Pops did you eat, Steve? So be honest.
He's got a pocket full still.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Is that a Tootsie Pop in your pocket? No, I won't go there.
Some may or may not have made it into my range bag, Jeff. I guess there's an incriminating picture out there that I think Maria took that was posted.
Yep. Looked like a chipmunk with about 4 of them in each cheek.
Guilty.
Yep.
Well, there was also little other things that I saw. I'd never seen this before, but there was the one stage, or maybe it was the entire match, where you actually got a receipt of your time.
Yes. Yes.
Now, was that every stage, or was that?
Yes.
Oh,
Every
really?
stage. Yeah. So what the deal is USPSA. They're getting ready for another USPSA match there, and there is a requirement for paper backups, and we decided to do it on the Steel Challenge, just to try it out, guinea pig them, but to see if it, how the shooters received it, and everybody seemed to really like it because you get done, you get a receipt, you put it in your bag, and if you want to protest something and something's not right on Practice Score or the tablet, you go, wait a minute, here's my paper. So,
right. Now, is that tied into the timer Practice Score, or is that a separate unit altogether?
That is Bluetoothed to the tablet. When you push approve, it auto prints a receipt.
Okay. So that is a cool feature, but I'm being at Bluetooth, my guess is you weren't using the Commander timers. Because
no, we were just using.
You wouldn't be able to Bluetooth 2 items.
Right, we were not.
But I mean, it's you got this plus minus. You've got a feature of I've got paper backup without having to have someone else write stuff down.
Exactly.
Which is, I've been there at USPSA matches.
Yeah.
And it's the reason why you need a third RO on a squad.
Sure.
Quite frankly.
Absolutely.
So very cool, very cool. Plus, it's kind of like, okay, thank you, sir. Here's your receipt.
Yep.
Please enjoy the rest of the day.
Exactly. Yeah, it was cool. It was a nice to try them out. They worked flawlessly. So we had a couple of tiny issues on RO day, just getting things synced up. But once everything synced up, it was perfect. So
very cool. So and that actually, I take it. I mean, for those listening. For paper backups for USPSA, it's a viable option as well, correct? It'll give you Alpha, Charlie, Delta. Well, nobody shoots Mike, so it won't count those anyway because nobody shoots Mike.
Yeah, but it does an accurate count. As soon as you push approve, it prints you out a receipt, so you have an actual hard copy in your hand, and nothing can change once you have
Very
that.
cool. Very cool.
So, Jeff, to walk through the match here just a little bit, because I would say I've shot some very, very good matches over the last couple of years, and for whatever reason, this one resonated more with me than a lot of the matches, and I think part of it was there was a surprising amount of steel target paint jerseys out on the West Coast all the way out in California, so that certainly helped set the tone, and I definitely went out there to support our man Kurt Grams, a fellow team member. But I'm telling you, as soon as you got to the match, everybody knows where the legendary Hogue action range is. As soon as you got up, it was interesting, and I don't know if this was coincidence or if this was this well thought out. Right when you got to the top of the hill as you're going into the range, all the vendors were lined out. You had JP right there. You had Hunter's HD Gold, and then Hogue was set up. And so that gave a lot of great foot traffic for some of the vendors that, and all of them were sponsors of the match. And it was interesting. Maybe we can talk a little bit about it later, but there was a great dynamic between those three groups. So you had an opportunity immediately when you walked in to see these vendors and sponsors. Then you went to check in, make sure all your divisions were correct. And it was a really, really quick process. Kurt, what's Matt's last name that was running stats there?
It's Mark Salazar.
Oh, Mark. Sorry, Mark, brother, if you're listening. Mark Salazar, I think this was his first Steel Challenge match maybe, or his second one somewhere there, but he did a fantastic job.
He did stats for the Worlds back when they were at the Hogue Range.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did the first one there, and then the night before the one in 2017, he broke his leg. And
man.
He ended up down at UCLA Medical Center, and he was a no-show. Nobody knew where he was. Nobody knew what was going on. He had, he could contact, he just was a medical emergency. So Daniel Charbonneau took over stats on that one. But Mark runs he is the range manager, and he's up on all the tech stuff. So, and it was his deal with the printers and all of that. So he did an excellent job. I was really surprised at how many people had issues with their registration. A lot of new shooters, not a lot of, I don't want to say inexperienced shooters, but a lot of people that were inexperienced signing up on Practice Score. So, but he handled every little issue. I mean, super quick, no problems at all. So
yeah, check-in was really quick, and then we talked a little bit about the scores, but he would make sure that they were updated after every single flight. So, if you're just got done shooting the match, probably within 30 minutes, sometimes maybe 45 minutes after that particular flight, you could see how you scored, which I appreciate as a competitor.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then let's go to the next station. So as a competitor, I went in, and this is a cash payback match, but then also it's a random prize table, if you will. And so Jeff, you won't believe me if I told you. So I get up there, put my hand in the bowl. You never guess what number I picked.
We got pictures.
Wait, did you get you either got a JP rifle certificate or a set of Hunter's HD gold glass?
No. What number did I pick out of the jar? There's a little cut up numbers and a corresponding.
Oh, what number?
Yeah.
Geez, I'm not even going to try to guess. Just tell me.
No, I can't. This is 69. A G-rated show.
69, really?
Yep.
Yep. So.
Oh, Lord.
Of course I did. I think Kurt played in there. And so I got my Ely bet. I did get a JP Rifles gift certificate, so that was fantastic. But
nice.
yeah. So that part went smooth. Kurt, do you want to talk a little bit about what was on the prize table, how many dollars worth of goodies? Because there was a lot of support from the shooting community at this match.
Oh yeah. No, we had just shy of $30,000 on the prize table.
Woo!
So
Nice.
the industry as a whole seems to be a little bit soft right now, and these guys really stepped up. I mean, I talked to JP at Worlds, and they were not coming to California, blah, 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 and all this misinformation. Very first day on the range, he's out, Dustin's got the GMR out there, and we're playing around with it, and lo and behold, who walks onto the range? Law enforcement. And what do? Immediately come over and start shooting guns with us.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of people that freak out about California, and it's not an issue. There's all kinds of things in place to make it not a problem. But back to the sponsors.
Let's hold on there for a second, because, I've definitely been one of those people, that have said, God, if I go to California, I got to make sure I've got all my only 10-round mags and all this kind of stuff. And I've talked with Trenton, and you've just alluded to this. As you point out, there are, I'm assuming, I think it's forms you sign or things you declare that basically say, listen, I'm not going to sell or give this away. This is mine. I can go use it. So you could bring, an open gun with a 170 mag, shoot it in the match, and go home, and you haven't broken any laws. Is that correct?
I have 70 170 millimeter mags.
Okay, and you live in California.
And I live in California. So
yeah.
There's not a prohibition of possession. There's a prohibition of sale. And about 2 to 3 months ago, they lifted the ban on sales of high-capacity magazines. So in effect, what they did is made every high-capacity magazine in the state legal, because they have no proof of when you purchased that. So
I've always hated that term, because what's considered high? Because, I have 10-round mags and 15-round mags and 17-round mags, and then I have a 29-round mag. But then if I go to my PCC, I have a 52-round mag. So what's high?
Hey, Jeff, I found the answer, and I'll have to find my picture that I took and post it out on the Steel Target Paint podcast page. So there's a guy named John Spear. Kurt, you know John?
Yeah, he's a good buddy of mine.
Yeah, so he so he's shooting PCC, and he goes in the bag and grabs a magazine. And I look in there, not creeping or snooping on the guy. I'm like, hey brother, what's that? He smiled like a little kid at Christmas. He said, oh man, you got to check this out. It's for a Colt lower. He pulled out a couple of these magazines.
Oh, yeah.
I think, and he welded two bodies together. He's got somebody that's a scientist. They're 72 or 73 rounds. So, Jeff, to answer your question, that's high capacity.
Yeah, so there's a lot of myths about California. There's a competitor's exemption in the penal code that you can come into the state with an assault weapon and you can leave with it. There's a bunch of different things. There's a bunch of range lawyers out there that are going to tell you, oh, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. Look at the pictures of the range and look what people are shooting. It's the same thing we shoot everywhere else.
And I can speak to this a little bit because this is my third trip to that range, and the previous two was 2016, 2017 World Speed Shoot, and then of course this Area 2 match here this past weekend. So I live in Atlanta. If you're traveling with guns, please make sure that you are familiar with their airline's policy. And I apologize, I can't remember. I think it may be Delta. It could be United. But there is an airline that limits you on the number of specific guns you can bring. You can only bring, I think it may be 2 long guns and unlimited handguns. But make sure, in addition to the quantity of guns, and I flew American out there, and so they don't really care as long as it's locked up and unloaded in a box.
They're Merca. They're Merca.
Merca
doesn't care.
Merca. That's right. That's right. But make sure that you read whatever airline you're going to fly on. Number one, make sure you read their policies before booking the ticket. And then number two, give a courtesy call to the airline 7 days prior. With American, you don't have to call in and check in. I think it's maybe United or one of those other ones. You have to declare it before you get to the counter. They get a little spastic. So, and I did shoot 6 divisions out of Area 2, and everybody's like, man, look at the size of that case. Well, look, my CWA gun, I've got 2 uppers for it, and then what I did with my rimfire rifle, iron and open, is I took one of the stocks off, and so I used the same stock on 2 different guns, and so, hey, essentially I had 6 guns in my checked luggage. So when I got to the airport, all I had to do is sign a declaration that says that they're unloaded. Nobody checked. I opened the case, took one of the 2 padlocks off, slid it in my Pelican case, and they escort you to TSA. They scan it. They wipe down some stuff to make sure you don't have explosives in there or anything crazy, and then wait for your bag on the other side. And the same round trip coming back from San Luis Obispo Airport to Atlanta. I will admit, though, I was in Atlanta, and I landed, and it took me almost an hour to get my gun case, and let's just say I had a couple bucks in there. So I was a little bit concerned, but no, we were all good. So traveling to California is not nearly as bad as people think that it is. But anyway.
Last year, we had people that flew into Las Vegas and out of state and then drove in because they were so freaked out about things. And I mean, you can look in my safe and see what I have, and everything I have is compliant. It's legal here. But there's a lot of misinformation out there. And I think that's, I was expecting a lot more guns this year. I don't know if it was a timing issue or, people going back to school and all that kind of stuff. But, we've got the capacity. We could handle 500, 600, 700 guns at the Hogue Range. There's 14 bays. It's basically lined up like CMP and Talladega. There's a road down the front, and the bays are right off that road. We have Cowboy Town, which is around the corner out back, so we can. There's free camping out there. You don't have any sewage facility hookup, but you have water and power. So it's really nice when people that travel up that want to be able to stay on the range and hang out with other shooters and whatnot. So, but it was very cool for me to have the amount of people we had from out of state. I mean, it was amazing, absolutely amazing to me to have that kind of turnout. So,
Kurt, let's talk a little bit more about the prize table. So there was $30,000. How many? Do you know off the top of the head how many people you had sponsor the prize table?
35.
35 people. Great, great.
35
And
companies.
Jeff, I would share this as well. You know, it talks to the level of the match. You know, one of the things that Kurt did as a match director, he said, look, everybody got their Ely bag full of some goodies, and you know, hey, here's a contact list. Make sure that you share some love and tell people how much you enjoyed it. And Kurt and I were talking prior to the podcast. You got a call from one of the sponsors, and they were blown away by the feedback that they received, and hopefully that'll help again next year. So yeah, it was really cool.
That's the way to do it. Yeah, no, I get it. You know, and Kurt, you know, I was looking at the scores and I saw you actually shot pretty well for some of your guns. The success of your match is always how well was everyone? How well was it received by all the shooters?
Right.
And,
exactly.
And secondarily, then, you know, how do the sponsors feel about it? Because there are a lot of people that can put on a match and shoot well, but it's rare because there's just so much preparation, as you pointed out, that Maria had to do before everything came and happened. You know.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you were just sitting there painting guns and cars and said no.
It's like he was there.
For 2 months prior to the match, my day consisted of 6 hours match prep and 2 hours worth of painting. That was it every day.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was shooting. I was on pace for, I don't know, maybe about a 67 or 68. I felt pretty good about it. And about 11:30, I'm getting ready to go to 5 to go, and we start making noise about lunch for the ROs. And I got to go wrangle somebody up to drive 4 miles up the road to meet the pizza guy.
Yep. For my match, I ended up on RO day. I got 4 stages in, and then left and went and got lunch.
Yeah.
Because all my ROs are shooting. I don't have anybody to go get me stuff. They're all shooting. You know.
Let me tell you who I got. I go up and Brian's sitting there. Not a lot going on RO day. I said, "Hey, Brian Conley, how'd you like to pick up our pizzas?" And he doesn't know the town, but I said, "Go out here, hang a left, go up 5 miles. When you see a California Cal Fire CDF station, pull in there, and there's going to be a pizza guy there, and grab the pizzas for me." And he did it.
Sponsorship at a whole different level.
Yeah, exactly. And I promptly went back to 5 to go and shot 11-second 5 to go. So that was kind of a buzzkill, but you know what? It's okay. I put the matches on for the shooters. I mean, being able to shoot's a bonus for me. And I ended up okay. You know, I'm not unhappy. So.
Well, again, you know, it's not like you're not running every match either. You know, so when you go out to U.S. Steel, you go to Worlds, or you you go to other ranges, you're able to enjoy them as a shooter.
Yes, exactly.
But
exactly.
I mean, it's for me, it's the same thing. You know, when I'm either running or helping out at a level 1. You know, it's never about. I mean, you want to perform, but at a level 1, you're the match director and the range master and the Mr. Fix-It and sometimes the stats guy. Although I'm lucky, we've got our resident stats guru John Beach, who sounds like he's on par with your stats guy.
Yeah.
You know, as far as he just handles everything, and it helps having that. But you're about getting ready to shoot, and somebody goes, "Hey, we got a broken stick over on Showdown," and then you're like, "Okay," and then you can't do it in hopes of getting a good match. You go to other people's matches for that.
Right. Well, I run a monthly match out there, and I am all of the above.
Yeah, so, I get it.
Stats, everything. I am not maintenance, though. Chris and Jeff are there for that, but it's a good club. It's a good venue. I mean, being able to get the kind of support we got from sponsors is actually very overwhelming to me. These guys stepped up. Even if they couldn't do a lot, they still did something. So some did a little, some did a lot, but it's all appreciated. So
I couldn't make it. I couldn't make the match. But I met you online. You've been nothing but supportive, helpful. I consider you a good friend now. And
hey, easy there.
I'm starting to well up a little bit.
But I was going to say, before I was so rudely interrupted by both of you, let me get back up on my soapbox here, okay? Hold on a second. No, I was just going to say, Curtis, it's a testament to you. It is, okay? If you're known in the industry, you're known by these people, they know your reputation, and they know what you're about, and that's what people support. And so, congratulations again.
Thank you. I think it helps, because I've got relationships with just about all the sponsors. We go to SHOT Show and we stop and talk, and they know a lot of the guys that sponsor. I use their products in my builds. We put together a lead star for the prize, actually for a raffle. And every single person on my jersey did something for that gun. So, it's nice to know that if you need to call somebody and lean on them a little bit for some support, they're going to do it. Yep. I can't thank them enough for what they did, because that's what keeps the match going. And we went, we gave out 85 plaques and medallions and knives. And
very
was
cool.
Very, very cool to give people awards that have never gotten an award.
Yeah.
They've shot.
Did you have any juniors? Get stuff?
Yes, we did.
I love handing the awards to the juniors, because you do not. Probably the only person who I've ever seen have a bigger smile getting an award was Elsie Baker.
I was there for that. That's true, Jeff. That's very true.
But that is seeing the junior and just seeing wow, I actually won something.
Yeah.
It's huge. And I'm not going to deny it. At my age, and I still love going up there and shaking the match director's hand and winning the. It's we all joke about it. We spend thousands of dollars on guns and ammo and travel to go win a $10 trophy.
That's right.
And you know what? We'll do it every week we can do it.
That's right.
So this is a little bit selfish, but the best moment of the match was getting to call Maria's name, because she didn't know she won anything. I knew it, and we did everything in our power to keep it a secret. And when I called her up there, she looked at me like, "What are you talking about? Just go talk to everybody. Do what you need to do. Don't call me up there." And I said, "No, you got an award." And she was flabbergasted. So that was on a personal level, that was the best moment of the match for me. So.
Yep.
Jeff, as a competitor, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you and I've talked about in this podcast in terms of how do you run a great match, and it was great prize table. I mean, the stats were on point. You got to the bay, and all the targets were perfect. I mean, we're out there leaning over, painting targets at 5 to go, but you stay in the shooter's box, and they were absolutely perfect. I mean, the weather was perfect. It was 52 degrees, 53 degrees when we got going, and most of the days were in the low to mid 70s with the light breeze. It was picturesque. I mean, the food was on point. On
that's another thing.
On Friday, it sounds silly, but they're probably the best hot dogs I've ever had. I mean, it was amazing. And then on Saturday, it was full-blown barbecue, and I'm getting a tear in my eye just thinking about it. It was so good. With homemade cookies. I mean, it was just like I can go on and on and on. The RO staff was fantastic. A lot of familiar folks that I've seen out there at the 2016, 2017 World Speed Shoots. It was just, and to have the love and support of the Steel Target Paint shooting team, and we went out to dinner a couple nights with a bunch of people, and there was some from me as a competitor. I didn't shoot as good as my potential, but when the classifications updated today, Jeff, out of the 6 guns total that I shot 14 personal bests. 14.
Wow.
14. And so I was fortunate to take high overall with, Rimfire Rifle Open and PCC and Rifle Master and Rimfire Rifle Iron. And I placed in the top 3 in every gun that I shot. And I think that it had everything to do with the shooting experience. I was, maybe a little bit nervous because I hadn't shot in a couple days and all that kind of jazz. But once I got going on Friday, I found myself, I was really pushing it, because I've been shooting at a pretty assertive pace in Rimfire Rifle Open specifically. And there was nothing more that I wanted to shoot, like a 63 or maybe a 64. And so I pushed a couple stages, like on Outer Limits. I've been shooting that so well. But I got up to the box, man, and I did the Steel Challenge stance on my first string. What's up with that,
I wish I had video.
Oh, man. And then I had to dial it back a little bit. And then my fourth string, I think, was a 320. And so, it's just – it could have been a little bit better, but and I wrote a blog post out there and posted out there. It was just a magical match and experience, and to be around, great friends in the industry, and it was so laid back. And, I think they shut down Hogue because, Neil was there, Pat was there, Jim was there, Amanda was there with their families. I mean, it was probably one of the coolest, like, big local matches I've ever shot. It was something special. So congratulations, Kurt. I mean, I've shot a lot of matches in the last couple of years, but Jeff's on the phone, so I won't say it was better than his. But it was.
Hey, you know what? I love it. Kurt's a friend. And I love to hear that matches were better, because if it was better than mine, I know it was top notch. So. That's quite all right, Steve.
Hey, you know what, Jeff? The only thing that Kurt was lacking, and I'm sure he's going to do something about it next year, is having a charity to do painting. Yeah, that's I've talked to several people leading up to this podcast, Kurt, because I know that set this up a couple of days ago. I asked everybody that I could think of, hey, what did you think about the match? And talking with Larry Joe Steely of Steel Target Paint tonight, and he said, you know what, Steve, you've been to a lot of matches. I've been to a lot of matches. He said, this is the first match that I actually went home to practice score to see if next year's match was already open, because he was going to sign up and make it for next year. I kid you not, man. We did the whole match with one can of Steel Target Paint. That's how good that stuff is. I made that
You bought the industrial size can, right? It comes
one
in a
can.
55-gallon
We did the whole match.
So for you listeners, if you want a 10% discount code on rangestore.net, use discount code STPodcast10. Thanks for the lead-in, Kurt. I appreciate that.
Oh man, no, it was. I had a bad experience at a match I went to, and when they asked me to do this originally last year, I thought, man, if I do a match, I want to make sure I make it about the shooters experience and not making money, and not, this is a not-for-profit deal out there. And I want to give back every single thing I can to the shooters. And it seems to be working. I talked to Michael Poggi today, who was, he's one of the best revolver shooters in the world. And he says he can't wait to come back. You get that kind of feedback from guys that have obviously traveled the world or wherever, and he says it's one of his favorite matches. So having Larry Joe get a bunch of, we need to take a picture of everybody on Steel Target Paint's hardware from the match.
Oh yeah.
In my kitchen right now, we have 5 medals. You take
awesome.
You take Colin.
Steve had 3, right? Steve, did you take 3 home?
No, there's 6 or 8. I don't know what happened there, but
you got 2 knives. You got some plaques. You got some medals.
I was just talking about the plaques. I forgot you gave away knives and medals as well. That's right.
Yeah. So You got those knives are engraved with the Area 2 Steel Challenge Championship logo. Those came from Hogue. You got we probably you got Colin. I mean you got Amy. You got Larry. There's a lot of awards with steel target paint standing behind them. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, it's very cool, very very cool, and to have Larry there to see it. And Larry pulled a very, very, very nice prize off the prize table. He won I don't know if I should tell you guys, but I'm going to. He won a Katanica jacket, and they're valued at $700.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting, Kurt? As soon as he pulled that, he knew exactly what it was. I mean, he wasn't like, "Oh, thanks for the jacket." He's like, "Damn, Steve!" Oh, I can't say that on this podcast. Damn, Steve!
Yeah.
You see what I just won? I'm like, "Oh, good for you!" I pulled.
Well, and then of course Leonard Riccio, the guy that owns Katanica, he comes to the match, and there was another guy that won a jacket. Zach Shepard, I think, is who it was, and these guys are beside themselves because they got to meet the guy that designs and builds this stuff. So,
And the stuff's guaranteed for life, right, Kurt?
oh, it's ridiculous. Anything ever goes wrong. I mean, that's all I wear. I've got pants that are 6-7 years old, and I mean, they just go and go and go, and they're super comfortable. They've done for me special colored bugs. They call it. They have a beetle on everything. It's their logo, and they've done the lime green bugs for me on all my stuff. So I think that's the coolest thing ever. I don't care if I got to pay double for them. If I get the lime green bug, I'm happy, So, but yeah, it's, Willand USA has made a statement on Facebook that they were going to come out next year. We had a couple other vendors that were supposed to make it and couldn't. But my goal, so at the Worlds I'm looking and I'm seeing, Tipman Arms and JP and all these guys down at the very end of the deal, and there's nobody down there. So we put them right dead center. You walk in, we had 4 bays on either side of the of the demo bay, the vendors, side match, all in one place. And then on Friday, we purposely cooked and served lunch in the demo bay. So everybody at the match had to walk in there at least once.
That's awesome.
And it created a lot of foot traffic. These guys went to a lot of expense to come out here and support the match. So I wanted to make sure that it was a worthwhile trip for them. By doing what we did with the setup, I think it paid off because you didn't have guys down at the end going, "Hey, we're down here," So,
Kurt, Steve and I have talked about it on a number of podcasts. We've talked about it with a number of shooters, with a number of companies that sponsor shooters, and you did exactly what is the overarching view on that. It's not what the company can do for you; it's what you can do for the company. And you took that attitude, and it was like, what can I do to best present these companies to the competitors in the match? And you did
absolutely.
it.
Yeah. I don't want to say there's a give and take because the way I like to put it is there's a give and there's a give. Right.
Nobody's taking.
No.
Nobody's taking anything. You give and they give and everybody wins, and that's how it should be. And if you can keep that in mind, everybody out there who is thinking about being a sponsor or hoping to be a sponsored shooter, keep that in mind. It's always what can you do for that sponsor because that sponsor is going to do for you. And having $35,000 worth of prizes donated. You didn't pay for a cent of it, right?
No, we didn't buy anything.
Donated. $35,000 worth of product donated to an Area 2 state level match is
phenomenal.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say unprecedented. That's huge.
Yeah. Well,
for Steel Challenge. I don't know. There might be, SAS and SASP or USPSA that might be bigger, but I can't think of a Steel Challenge match that's gotten that kind of support.
Well, it's funny that my attitude towards the sponsors is the same attitude I take towards the shooters. I want them to walk on the range, feel like we want them there. I want them to feel appreciated. People start shooting, second stage, we jump in the side-by-side, and here we go rolling with the candy cart. And we made 2 or 3 passes, probably 2 or 3 passes a day to make sure people had hydration. They had a sugar rush going, so they got the shake so we could beat them.
Is that what was going on?
Yeah, it didn't work because Foster still beat me, but that was to be expected. But like I said, our approach to the shooters was the same approach. I wanted the sponsors to know that, we more than appreciate what they do, because as a person that I build and sell a couple little parts, and I could not believe the amount of pressure that is put on these companies on a daily basis. And, it's like, how do you guys stay in business if you support everybody? It's unbelievable the amount of pressure that these guys get. So if I approach somebody and they say, hey, it's just not in the budget, cool. I'm good with that.
Right.
If it doesn't make sense to you, don't do it. I'm not going to twist your arm to try to get you to help the match. But if you want to do something, let's do it. And I'll do everything in my power to get you the recognition that you need. We get banners up, social media posts, all that stuff. And, I haven't really done much on social media at all about the match yet, because I'm still dealing with financials. I'm closing everything out, all that stuff. But, having people like Steve come out, and, we had Rhonda and Jenna Jones out of Texas. We had Colin out of Colorado, Amy out of Idaho, Larry Joe and Brian, out of Alabama, Bill Urquhart. I can't say his name. I think it's Urquhart last name. I can't say his last name right, but they're out of North Carolina. Michael Poggi out of Washington.
Fishkin and Nealon from Florida.
Yep, Fish and Nealon. We got we're all buds. You got Jessica Smith, who came out of Alaska. She's a relatively new shooter, but she won some money in the side match, did a good job. So to have people from basically every corner of the country except the Northeast, what a deal. I mean, I was so stoked about that. It was crazy. So,
Kurt, I want to touch on two real quick things. That side match was really cool, and Ely sponsored that, right?
Yes.
Provided the ammo for it.
Yes.
Yeah, that was really sweet. One of the regrets that I have is, based on I've got a new job and all that kind of stuff, so I had to be back to work Monday, is unfortunately I did miss the award ceremony. But I do want to touch on real briefly for the ladies awards. Can you tell those that don't know Annette Chapman? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I'll try.
Okay.
It's hard for me. She was a good friend.
I hear
she
you.
passed away from a brain aneurysm. We shot with her and Jim on Sunday. This was several months ago. And just before we went away to Italy, and we were in contact with her because she was getting Jim a present. We're doing some special color base pads for him, and we reached out to her, let her know they were on the way, and no response. And another thing, no response. And then just before we left, Jim said, hey, this is, I'm on Annette's phone answering you guys, and she's in the hospital. So she thought she had the flu. She went to work. She was sick for a few days. Didn't get better. They were talking about going to the doctor. She went to work. They took her to the hospital, and she never came out. So we did the Annette Chapman Award. We went 1, 2, 3, High Lady, all the ladies awards. We did we took care of senior lady, there was no, let me rephrase it, no super senior lady, because there isn't any. They won't admit to it. I didn't want to get
They all
punched.
can't be juniors, right? Right? Kurt?
Yeah, no, I didn't want to get punched. Aren't you a super senior? No.
Aren't you 40 again?
Yeah. So basically what we did was go through and she was a purple freak, and you guys probably saw the purple rifle that I had just done.
Absolutely.
You know, that rifle was there. There was a junior shooter, actually Dustin from JP. His daughter wanted to shoot, so we let her shoot the match, and she got to shoot that rifle. So we went through every ladies award, either had purple on the plaque or the ribbon was in purple on the awards, on the medallions, just to memorialize her. You know, because her and Jim, they RO'd every single match, and
Yep,
I was really, really blown away that he came out and actually shot the match, shot well. He won something, and he RO'd the match. So, you know, it was just they were a great couple. He's a great guy. She was a great gal. She took care of business. She was a little spitfire, you know, and we all miss her. So it was kind of nice to be able to kind of give something back to her and to him. So
yeah, that's awesome. I remember the first time I met both Jim and Annette was at the 2016 World Speed Shoot Championship, and they were RO, and saw them, of course, in 2017, and it was great spending some time with Jim this weekend. He's a special guy. So
yeah, good dude. No, we're good friends, and you know, it's really sad to have this happen, but you know, that's life, unfortunately.
Well, I think it was a great touch and a great way to remember her in the shooting community for what you guys did. So
it's funny. I wasn't going to tell him, but then I decided I better just give him a little bit of warning. You know.
Yeah.
He was very, very appreciative of the whole thing. So, and you know, she, like I said, it's, you know, we took care of all the ladies and kind of, you know, memorialized her at the same time with them because they all knew her, you know. And what lady doesn't like purple? Oh, wait, Maria. She likes aqua. I don't want a purple rifle. I want aqua.
Of course you do, honey.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really, you know, we're already looking towards next year to see what's going on. And
have you got an idea you're going to do about the same time frame, Kurt?
Well, we're trying, you know, I'm going to ask people because we had a lot of, like Colby was supposed to come out, Christian Saylor was coming out. I had a lot of, you know, not set in stone commitments from people, but school got in the way. So, you know, parents with kids that school starting, you know, and the Central Coast, unfortunately, is relatively expensive for hotels during the summertime. But if you don't do it in the summertime, you can't get the kids out. So we're going to do a little bit of research and, you know, I'll ask people and see what, you know, what people consider to be the best time of year to do it. We did it this weekend because it was the original weekend of the original Steel Challenge in Piru. So, but school schedules have changed since then. So you know, nobody went to school until after Labor Day before, and now, you know, they're starting at the beginning of August and who knows what. But, you know, and it depends on, you know, the range availability is not an issue, but we also don't want to compete or conflict with any other major matches.
And there's so many. There's so many now too. You know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, you look at and it's great. I mean, it really is great across the country to see, you know, all the matches popping up.
Right.
But to again, you know, we do the same thing. You're looking at it and going, you know, is there a match within 300 miles already scheduled? Probably don't want to be on that same weekend.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. So, but yeah, so there's some discussions that need to be had. Some things need to be ironed out, but you know, I couldn't be happier. You know, everybody that's come up to me and Maria and talked about, what a great time they had. You know what? That makes it worth it. So, and to get, feedback from sponsors. I got an email from a major player today, said they've had 20 to 30 emails today, and they all were on par with the one that they sent me to show me what people were saying. So that's humbling.
Yeah.
It lets them know that not only do we as match directors, but we as shooters really get behind them and, appreciate what they do for us. So it's been a little overwhelming, to be honest with you. So.
Well, that's good.
Well, Kurt, congratulations on a absolutely stellar match, and I'll certainly be out there next year. But congratulations, man! It's all the time and prep and worrying and all the Tootsie Pops. It was worth it, brother. It went off extremely well.
The shooting was secondary. Steve was there for the Tootsie Pop.
I'm telling you what, man. It's kind of like a bunch of people hanging out, and then we're like, man, might as well shoot while we're here,
Yeah, exactly. I have to congratulate you on your performance too, Steve.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
That was it was a sight to behold. I loved seeing you come out here, and especially under the pressure that you're under as far as from work. You rolled in Thursday night in the middle of the night.
That's true.
Friday morning.
That's true.
You go out and shoot 2 guns in the morning, kick ass. You go out and shoot 2 guns in the afternoon, kick ass. Go out and eat a plate of food like I'd never seen anybody eat before in the middle of the night. And then get up the following morning and go out and do it again. So that's a testament to your ability.
I appreciate it.
Kurt,
Thank
thank you for being on. We really appreciate it. You're definitely a good friend, a friend of the podcast, a friend of ours, a great member of the industry. And again, as Steve mentioned, congratulations on putting on a fantastic match.
Yeah, it was a good time. We had a lot of good performances from a lot of people, not just Steve. So, it was really fun to see. And, we do this again. Hopefully we can make it even better. So I've had feedback saying that it was better than last year, which, that's good. I mean, I like to hear that, but you want to continually improve, and so anybody's got any suggestions, I'm open. So
hey Jeff,
sounds
did
good.
you?
Well, you know where to get. Rimfire Race Guns is the place to get a hold of Kurt.
Oh yeah,
that's right. All right, Kurt. Appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate your time tonight.
No, not a problem. I appreciate you guys taking the time to let me decompress on the match and download what we felt were positive points and weak points, and good times. So I appreciate it.